Hi, I'm Rick Vogelpohl. A lot of people call me the Ripper, and I've been doing this Twin Cities music scene since about 1979 till present, and got a lot of contacts, a lot of friends, and what do you want to know?
1979.
Yeah,
You know where I was in 1979? I was a twinkle in my father's eye.
it was kind of interesting.
So you might be a year or two older than I am, I suppose, huh?
You know, I just turned 60.
Okay.
And, at that time, that was like 1980. Yeah, 1980. And it was just getting to be the 80s. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, I'm learning how to play the bass." And I said, "I'm learning how to play guitar. You want to be in a band?" It's like, that was it. And we started learning how to play instruments together and practicing together and jammed a bunch of shows together after that. And it's just it's the way it kind of took off. But
some of the most epic films came out around that period too, like the very late 70s and
everything
the
was
early
changing.
80s.
It was so strange, but it all evolved just like with the 90s and the 2000s and everything. Somebody said to me the other day, "Hey, you were alive in the 1900s. Did I was like, all right, that's true."
Yeah.
It
does have a dated feeling to it,
Yeah.
though, doesn't it? Yeah. I suppose I was alive in the 1900s too.
What do you want to know?
Well, let me go get McCain and we'll sit down and talk about this, you young whippersnapper.
Get the DeLorean out and go back to the future. I don't know.
There you go.
So, you got some questions you want to ask me?
Of course, man. Yeah. So, like, what was?
I feel like I should interview you because I want to ask you so many questions about how this all came to be and
Feel free.
How long you've been playing drums and this
feel
and that.
Feel free, man. It's a conversation, so we can let it flow. But my episode actually just came out this week, so
I
get
all
somebody else did that. Somebody else did that
answered.
to me and flipped the tables. My buddy,
Brett.
Yeah.
Yep.
He flipped
He
the
did a
tables
good job on it. I saw a couple of teasers on that. So
yeah, that was fun and unexpected, and I had no idea how nervous I would be about my own episode coming out because I have no problem sitting here grilling you with questions. Yep. But as soon as you start asking me stuff, you're like, "Oh man, I got to actually think here and come up with some interesting stories." So
it was interesting starting out because we played all those school assemblies and prep rallies and all kinds of stuff like that, and the staff and the teachers hated us, but the students loved us. So
really,
it was kind of fun.
So you were playing guitar, like pep rallies back then?
Yeah, the whole band was playing.
Is that right?
Yeah, we played 3 or 4 songs, at an assembly or something.
That's cool.
And you see all your friends just erupt in the school auditorium. Is
nice.
Is awesome.
Were you playing songs like Eruption, or what were you doing?
No, we could barely play anything. A lot of times,
cross buns.
A lot of times, that's why we were an original band because we couldn't figure anything out. So we just made up our own songs, and so. But those were the days.
Still, so how old were you? Do you know when you started this first band?
It started getting serious like 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
Saying, okay, this is really what I want to do.
That's pretty early to get serious about anything, really.
Well.
I'm always jealous, or I was always jealous when I was a younger kid, like seeing kids that are young that kind of made up their mind to do anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because so many kids like me, just like, I'm 46 years old. I still don't know what the hell I want to do when I grow up, I
know. Same with me. Hey, I got to grow up. Oh, I don't want to do that. But it was easy because my dad was a musician, played guitar.
Okay.
And sang. And so
was he in bands?
He was in bands when he was younger, but mainly he was like a solo acoustic country guy. Merle Haggard, George Jones, Johnny Cash, stuff like that.
Right on.
And so that's what I grew up playing with him. And my great uncle actually played guitar and had a radio show before they would play records on the radio. He would go into the radio station and play. And it was in kind of western Minnesota. So it was all farm fields and guys listening to it out in the barn, or they had radios on the tractors, AM radios, and so it kind of sparked things with that because I would see that going on, and then just after we would get done dinner or something like that, we would all just sit around and get out our acoustics and play.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
We wouldn't like, sit
That's
around
a nice
and
growing
watch
up
TV.
experience right there.
And so that's all I knew. And so when things started progressing, it wasn't a big deal to say, hey, Dad, do you think we can get an electric guitar? Oh, yeah, I think we can, and it just kind of progressed from there. But so he was really my main influence. I just wanted to be like him. He was just the coolest guy. I was just like, oh, I got to be like this guy, So, and so both my parents were super supportive,
Did you ever do in your span of music playing? Did you ever do like the single guitar player sort of scenario like your dad did?
I did a couple of duo things with some singers, but nothing really too serious.
Okay.
And I like playing the acoustic, but not in like a band situation or I'd rather be playing a rock guitar or something. Personally.
All right. So tell me about that.
But I did play a lot with
Tell me
him.
why you became a rocker and how you went down that path.
Well, of course, like a lot of the guys, they opened up the Kiss Alive 2 album and it was like, oh my gosh, look at this. All those explosions going off and they're playing guitar. And this is, oh my gosh, I got to be a part of this, It's kind of like the Beatles experience for a lot of guys. And AC/DC and things like that. And I was like, oh, I want my guitar to sound like that. So my guitar, my first amp was, I got to plug into a Thomas organ and had an input on it. So I plugged my guitar into that and it was like a clean electric guitar into an organ. Why doesn't my guitar sound like AC/DC? Why doesn't my guitar sound like Kiss? And so I asked my dad, why doesn't it sound like that? And he said, well, they have effect pedals and they have bigger amps and real amps. And he's explaining this to me. So we get the Heath kit. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's this thing you used to be able to order electronics through this company and you could build it at home. You could build a TV set. You could build a stereo system.
That's cool.
Whatever you want. Built a distortion box. So now my guitar sounds like AC/DC going through the organ. And that was, that was kind of it. I was like, okay, I'm set. Now I got to play rock guitar. I need that feeling of that guitar, And it sounded like a giant mosquito at the time, but, it was better than...
It was pretty close.
It was better than just clean electric guitar, which I was driving me crazy. I'm listening to Highway to Hell, and I'm going, why doesn't my guitar sound like that? But it's a learning experience.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty fascinating. So these heat kits, you could pretty much just
Heath kit. Yep. Yeah, like
look up anything and just make it at home, huh?
Yeah.
This is pre-YouTube videos, I assume.
Yeah, pre-YouTube videos, exactly. And it was pretty common. It'd be like, you could make turntables, you could make everything. And a lot of guys would do that. And that's the way my dad was. He was in the Air Force and he could fix anything. And he would do like the projectors at the movie theater on the airbase. He was the guy that ran the movies. So I'd be up in the control room up there watching movies and helping him with the projectors and everything. And it was just... He'd go home and he would edit home movies. And, the old days on tape and splice. And we did that with audio, so it was all, thank goodness for him. Otherwise, I probably would have been doing something else. And his whole family was farmers and he decided to go in the Air Force and, it helped. It was immense. I got to live in Germany for 3 years. And
did you? Which part of Germany are you?
We were by Bitburg and kind of by the Black Forest.
Okay.
Yeah, Spangdahlem Air Base.
Nice.
When you live on the air base, it's kind of like, you're just like living in America there.
Yeah.
Because everybody is, American there.
Yep.
And
they bring over your American restaurants and stick them on the base.
Yeah.
PX has all of the things you want to buy.
You think that you're going to be exposed to this, but you're really not, unless you go out on the weekends and travel. Yeah. Which you can go to France in a half hour from where we were, so it was kind of cool. But
that's cool.
Anyway.
I was stationed in Germany as well.
Oh, you were?
I was in Frankfurt.
Oh, sure.
Just outside of Frankfurt, Hanau. Yep. I was aviation operations in the Army. So
it's beautiful over there, and
it is.
You get to see everything, all those castles, and I'm glad I got to be there when I was that age to experience all that.
Yeah.
Because I'll remember that forever. I don't know if I'll ever go back. So
I was in the prime of my life too, like 20 years old, fit young soldier. And yeah, we were having me and some my buddies that I still live buddies with today.
Yep.
Many of them stayed over there, and I thought about it.
uh-huh.
But then I decided to get out and come back and go to college in the U.S. So
Yep. Well,
cool,
probably a
man.
good choice.
Well, I was still in the Guard, so I still got to play to the Middle East after that. But yeah, it was
thank you for your service.
that's all right.
Yeah, I have high respect for the service and everything like that. So
I still think the best part of serving is the fact that at Hy-Vee I get like a special parking spot now. I always go check those out first before I go park anywhere else in the parking lot.
That sounds like a priority to me.
Yeah, it's a good perk. It's a good perk. The healthcare doesn't hurt either, but all right, cool. So yeah, so obviously Kiss was one of those very big early influences. Like, what's the first Kiss song that just you couldn't get out of your head?
Oh, it'd probably be like Detroit Rock City or something like that. Shock Me, something. But really that sound of the electric guitar, I should really credit to listening to Boston.
Okay.
Because when I heard that sound of that guitar, it was just kind of funny because I don't know if you remember these things, they were called bone phones. And they used to drape over your collarbones, and they were little speakers, and they would radiate into your bones. They were called bone phones.
I don't think I've heard of that. No.
And you could wear them underneath your coat.
Okay.
And they had a little FM receiver.
Huh.
And so I'm listening to KQ, waiting for the bus one morning, like 7th grade, and here comes this brand new band, Boston, and More Than a Feeling. And when it got to that distorted guitar riff in the middle, I was just like, yeah. That's what pretty much confirmed it, along with the AC/DC and everything else.
Nice.
So
it knocked you on your ass.
It did kind of. I just remember, I can remember that distinctly, getting on the bus going, what am I listening to? And going, I really don't want to go to school right now.
How old do you think you were about this time?
Well, that was like in 7th grade. So it was probably like, 12, something like that.
Yeah. So around that first band time, like you started hearing this great music, figured out how to play distortion through your organ.
Yep.
And then you formed some friends together and started jamming.
By the time 9th grade hit, it was starting to actually be a band.
Nice.
So it took a couple years to learn stuff.
It's still pretty early though. That's a lot of people can't keep a band together that early in their lifetime.
And it worked out slick because at that time, drinking age was 18 in Wisconsin, 19 in Minnesota. You could pretty much play a bar if you wanted to in Wisconsin at 17.
Nice.
And so I started working for bands and meeting all the bar owners and doing setups for bands. And pretty soon it's like, hey, can my band get a gig? And sure enough, it was easy enough to just walk right in.
Man, so you built your chops up strong enough by the time you were 17 to be able to get out and play in bands and bars already.
Yeah, because we were playing dances and things like that at 17.
And were you doing mostly covers at this point?
Oh, all covers. We would throw in a couple originals here and there, but we finally were at the point where we were able to figure songs out.
Nice.
It was tough then because you had turntables that played at wrong speeds. You had cassette decks that played at different speeds. You had bands that tuned their instruments were different. And you're like, I can't figure this out. And now you can look on YouTube and you got 5 guys that'll show you different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Same
problem, different decade, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But we had a hard enough time when we were kids tuning our instruments. So trying to figure a song out, that's another story. So
Shane was the one who invited or said to invite you. So tell me a story about you two. Like, how did you guys connect? And
well, for a while, I was hosting this thing called the Star Prairie Jam. And I did that for about 8 years. And when I started out going there, I was just a player. And then eventually, how things happen, kind of the story of my career. the process of elimination. Well, Rick, you're the guy now. So I started hosting this jam, and in walks Shane, and he's looking for a bluegrass group. And I'm going, oh, can't help you there. But do you want to come in and jam with us? Yeah, fine. He comes in and he's playing with us. And we start hitting it off chemistry-wise. And I said, well, I really need a rock bass player. Well, I can do that. And it was just, we just became super tight friends right away. Just not so much musicianship, just chemistry-wise.
Cool.
We've known each other forever. You know how that is when you meet somebody.
Yeah.
And after that, we started playing in bands, and we were playing like Dibbo's and all these super great clubs back then, and having a great time. But as you know, things change and people move on and bands change, but we've always stayed in contact. And so we've always had this jam that we would do, and he would always come out and help out. And then we also were doing the P-Wise jam, and so we did all that with him.
What's a P-Wise jamming?
It's a place called P-Wise.
Just a different location.
It's in Osceola. Okay. It's a club.
Okay.
And they would have a jam once a month, and we would go there, and we would still meet there. And so we never really lost contact. And then we ended up putting a band together with Eric Bulow. And so we have the band called Terraplane, which we don't get to play out a whole lot. We're more of a fun band. We might do private events or things like that because everybody's schedule is so busy. Those guys especially, they got such full-time things going on.
Sure.
But we still get together once a month and do the P-Wise jam, and as much as we can, and it keeps us together and within communication. But
what kind of music is that?
Oh, that's pretty much winging it, Whatever,
really?
Whatever shows up. We never know who's going to show up with us. The three of us, we have a few tunes that we know all together.
Okay.
But a lot of times people show up and need like a backup band to play with them, or we just let them sign up for their spot and let them do their thing. So there could be several musicians there before we even play. A lot of times they save us till the end because we're a band, and they have solo artists first. But Shane and I clicked right away, and we've been friends ever since. So it's great. Now he's married with kids, 2 kids, and it's just like, wow, how things fly by. He was just this kid coming in the door.
But did he come in the door the first day with those power stances on bass?
And some mullets, or chops there.
Man, he's definitely got some moves up there on stage.
Oh, he's a madman.
I like watching
it
him
rubs
play.
off on you, and you just have fun, and pretty soon you start jumping around like him and having a great time. And a lot of times we'll jam at his hangar that he has because he's a pilot, and so that's a big room that we can kind of let loose in it and have fun.
Nice.
And so
the acoustics got to kind of suck in there.
They kind of suck, but we don't care. We don't care. We just have a great time. And
massive echo, but
it's not as bad as you think it is.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's just fun.
That sounds like fun.
It gets you that feeling, like you're in a big room. But
well, we talked a little bit offline. I mean, you and I met through the Ziggy's jams. So tell me a story about that. Like, how did you get involved in that, and why do I see you there all the time?
Well, it's convenient for me because it's in Stillwater and Hudson. And the Ziggy's All-Stars are a lot of my friends. One of the guys, Tim Butler, I went to school with him, and we both would frequent Water Music, which was right up the hill from where Ziggy's is now. And so, it's just the neighborhood of growing up in Stillwater and being in that area. It's just like a hometown jam for me, But I was going out to the TC Hit Squad, which was out at the 47, and that was hosted by Chris Fox from Hairball. And he had Super J on the bass and JJ from LA on the drums, and Taz was on guitar, and just a great lineup. And I was having a great time with that, but then they eventually, I imagine with Hairball's schedule, they had to kind of stop doing it for a little while. But then the Mad Mike's jam took over, which I attended a few of them at the beginning, but it just got to be, for me, too far. I can still go on a special occasion.
Yeah.
But and then when it opened up in Stillwater, and I was just like, and I had done the Star Prairie Jam, which was close to 10 years. And then when that kind of moved on, when the owner sold the building, we it was kind of like, where do we go? And then that popped up, and so I jumped on as quick as I could. I looked at the song list. I was like, I know most of these songs already. So,
so a lot of the people from the Star Prairie Jam then are kind of like part of the Ziggy's community?
Not at all.
No, not really?
No,
Oh,
except for Shane.
Okay.
Except for Shane and Eric. A lot of those guys have moved on to other things. And
just other projects?
Yeah. And some of them are playing with full-time bands now. So they don't have time to go to a jam, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing, actually, to me, how many people that you see at the jams are actually in full-time gigging bands.
I know.
Like busy bands.
They're playing all weekend, too. But
they're still going to the Mad Mikes. They're still going to the Ziggies.
That's because they're all friends, and it's fun. There's no pressure there of doing a gig.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything. And if you get there and you go, I really don't feel like jam, and nobody cares. They'll be like, okay, I'll fill your spot or whatever,
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. So I think that's why people like it.
Well, and I think even if you're in a full-time band, especially like a tribute, and you're playing the same 90-minute set all the time, this gives you a chance to kind of explore an old Boston tune or something you might want to play.
And that's why they call it the Jamily.
Right.
Because it's a big family, So it's just fun. And a lot of people ask me, why do you do that? You're only playing like 2 songs, It's not about me playing. It's about watching all these guys play.
Yeah.
And watching somebody for the first time get up there.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is why we're doing it,
Or like the 12-year-old drummer
coming in all the time.
Yeah. Maxwell. Man, he's so good. I had him and his dad on the podcast.
That whole group that played too, Kickstart. That's a young
I haven't seen them yet, but I saw the videos. They're good, huh?
Incredible.
Nice.
Like I said, at my age, doing what they're doing is like, no way, but they got supported too.
One good thing. So I had Megan and I forget her name, but the new general manager at the new Max's Social House. Mm-hmm. They both came on to the podcast, and one of the great things that they're doing, which I think other bars are talking about doing and should be doing, is like creating like a Wednesday night, or I don't know, Wednesday's probably crossing over with Ziggy's, but a night of the week where you can get like younger bands in, and they've got a place that they can
do like a showcase thing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but it just gives them a chance to get on stage in a live environment with a PA, with a sound guy, with lights, you know what I mean? And actually get up there on stage, and
maybe we can put these guys in on the weekends.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's good for them.
Yeah. And I think they need a lot of that for like the under, the not 18 yet, can't really play in a bar, you know what I mean? But you get a chance to get out there, get on stage, get your stage legs, right? Because there's no replacement for that either.
No.
No matter how many times you practice a song in the basement, you're going to screw it up the first time on stage.
Absolutely.
You have to get through that.
Absolutely. No matter how many times you go through it, you get up there, your finger cramps.
Right. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Nice. All right, cool. So let's go back, and we talked a little bit about some of your early musical influences, but tell me more about that. I mean, obviously we had AC/DC, we had Kiss, we had Boston. What else was just kind of like really blowing your mind, just really kind of bringing you in, and who did you want to be like? Like, who was your big star out there?
Like I said, from the start, my dad was my big star. I mean, he was the one that I wanted to be like. He knew everything. And so when it came to going to recording school or going to working with groups or anything like that, there was no problem. When I was like 14, they signed a work release for me to get out of school early to go work for the bands. So the truck would pick me up at school, come pick me up at the Circle Drive. I would leave. We would go, the sound guy and I would go to the club. I would set up with him. That's where I learned how to set up all the instruments, set up all the drums, keyboards, guitar amps, everything, check everything, because the band was all working full time. And so they would show up to play the gig.
You pretty much had them set up already.
Pretty much set up. They would do a quick check, and it was often running, And working with the same group all the time, you knew what was happening. So, and then, like I said, going from club to club, you're there at noon setting up. So you meet the owner, you meet the manager, you know, and you get tight with them. They trust you after a while, and then how things kind of moved on from there, you know. And that's why I like saying he's like my biggest influence, you know. But of course, at the time, all that stuff coming out was Van Halen and everything like that. Everybody wanted to play like Eddie Van Halen, and you know, things like that. But I was
it's funny. I think the two biggest influences, if I had to do like a poll of all the people that have come in so far, probably Kiss and Van Halen. Those are the two that I've heard the most.
Yep.
You know.
You know, but I was so focused on what I was doing that a lot of times we weren't even paying attention to what was hot right now, you know, because this is what we're doing, you know.
So has it always been, I mean, obviously you were inspired with rock, you really wanted to do rock, but has it always been rock, or have you really kind of gone in other directions?
No, it's always been rock bands, either working for them or playing in them, you know. For a while there, I said, you know, if I can't play in bands, I'm going to still be in the business. So that's when I ended up going to recording school after running live sound for many years. Went to recording school, got my degree there, and I started working at Track Record Studios. Worked there for about 25 years. And
where's this?
St. Paul.
St. Paul? Okay.
I did my internship there, and I stayed right there and started working. And we had everybody in there from Lamont Cranston to Big Walter Smith, and just a ton of groups. Doug Maynard, you know, all these bands. And we were pretty much a one-stop shop. And that was the days of cassette demos, things like that. And so we would record the groups and crank out their demos, and so they could go shop at the bars with their handing out a cassette with their promo pack. So kind of jumping around, but that was a different time too, you know.
No, that's interesting, because I know you'd mentioned offline or whatever that you're not Rick Doppelman, but you have done some running of sound and stuff.
Oh, sure.
In the past. So
for years I was running sound at rock clubs and studios and things like that, and in-house gigs at rock clubs, and pretty soon it got to the point where that was all I was doing. And I finally just said, I started missing out on a bunch of opportunities, and I finally just said, I can't do this anymore.
So it was taking you away from the ability to play guitar?
It was. Okay. Well, that too, and just different opportunities that would come up because I'm working a Saturday night at some club, you know.
You mean like what sort of opportunity? Like hanging with friends, or, you know?
One of the opportunities was to play with Barry Goodrow from Boston.
Oh, wow.
And I missed it because I had to work.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have anybody.
That would have been like a full circle moment, right?
Yeah. And then the next year I was able to make it there, and I leaned over to Barry and I said, are we going to play Dreams tonight? And he just looked at me and he goes, well, I think we'll probably just go with the band that we got right now, but maybe next time. And that was like the second time. And I was like, oh, okay. But, you know, there was just opportunities like that that we was missing out, because we would see something happen, you know, oh, we could have been there. We could have been, you know. Instead, I'm here working, making these guys sound great, you know. But that's where you live and learn.
Interesting. So, yeah, what a trade, huh?
I've had several people send me messages mixing me up with Rick, as a fact there, saying, hey, great job on the sound last night. And I'm like, wrong Rick.
Used to be that Rick, but no more.
Yeah. I'm like, well,
now the other Rick is the Rick.
Yeah, that's right. And he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate him immensely. You know, he helps out on the Ziggies on Sundays at the Doghouse, and it's just, we couldn't do it without him. So, and I appreciate all that industry, and that's why I got into it, you know, and because it was driving me crazy. You know, I bought all this equipment from my band, and pretty soon all my band's friends were saying, hey, can you come run sound for me? Can you come run sound for my band? I'm like, oh, okay, you know.
Do you still own a bunch of PA, or
no? I sold most of my stuff. You know, I was the guy that trained Joe Spanbauer in doing sound.
Hmm.
Sandy Marks trained me, and Joe was my light guy. And then with going to school and everything, and I was a sound tech, and then eventually he moved into doing sound when my band was playing so much that I couldn't do it as much.
Really?
So yeah, he was running lights, and he finally just decided to move into the sound world. And
Wow.
the rest was history with him, but of course he was still singing at the time. But it's a small world.
It is, yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting connection. I would have never known.
Oh yeah, and that's heartbreaking that he's no longer with us. But we had many good times.
Mm-hmm.
My band played with his band a lot. We played everywhere. 7th Street Entry, Mirage, and Iron Horse, and it was always Triple X and Sweet Addiction playing everywhere. So,
what was the name of this band for you?
A Triple X.
Triple X.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we were all 3 X members of another band, so we came up with that.
Cool.
We had to come up with something.
So tell me a little bit about Triple X. Tell me about some stories in that band.
Oh my gosh, too many stories. I don't know
how to contain them all.
How much we can get into it about that band. That band was the ultimate party band, and eventually we had gotten signed with GMA, the agency in town. So they were kind of sending us all over the place. But in the beginning, we were just playing mainly around town. But we did get to play the major bars in town, like the Mirage and the Iron Horse, First Avenue, 7th Street Entry, And so it was a fun band, but it was a different time. This was like 92, something like that.
Hmm.
And so, I don't know. What do you want to hear? You want to hear the most outrageous thing that happened with this band?
Let's do it.
Well, the most outrageous story that I could tell people that when they ask me, and it's actually kind of gross, but we got booked for a New Zealand toga party. It was New Zealand exchange students having a toga party, which we were unaware of when we got the gig. We were just thinking we're coming to a normal show. We get to this place, and it's full of these New Zealand guys in togas running around. All right. They got into it. They were into it big time, having a great time. Then they decided to start chanting this thing called the Pelican. Pelican, Pelican, Pelican. And I'm like looking around going, what is the Pelican? Is that like some band, or is that a song or something? What are we supposed to know? No. They proceeded to take a beer bong, drink out of a beer bong, and then barf into the other guy's mouth on the ground as the guy was kneeling on the ground while we're playing.
Wow.
And we're like, what is happening right now? And they're chanting Pelican. And we're like, okay, I get the hint now. Pelican, how it works.
Oh,
probably
man.
one of the most outrageous things that ever happened to me when I was playing.
And you guys just played right through it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. They continued to dance and have a great time. And it was all over the dance floor. And
wow.
yeah, it was interesting.
That is pretty crazy.
I was on a bar in Rice Street. Yeah. And so a couple other places on Rice Street that we played. One guy got kicked out. He was very upset about getting kicked out, so he came back, 5 gallons of gas, poured it all over the intersection where we were playing in the club, lit it on fire. Ironically, we were playing Firehouse by Kiss, and we had rotating lights going, and they were going on outside too. The fire department showed up and was putting out this blaze that was going on in the intersection because this guy set it on fire.
Wow.
Never seen anybody do that before.
They catch him?
Oh yeah, he was standing there right when they pulled
Just-
up, admiring his work. Yeah, there's many things. I
Wow.
don't know.
You've been a part of the real scene here in Minnesota, it sounds like.
Oh my gosh.
Seen everything.
You know, playing blizzards when you think that nobody's going to be there
Mm.
and it's just packed
Mm.
and there's nothing else to do. So they're there, especially in northern Wisconsin and places like that. You play during a snowstorm, it's crazy.
People just go out and
Yeah, the snowmobilers show up. But first of all, you know,
Uh-huh.
they get on their sleds and here they go.
Huh.
But yeah, Triple X was a fun party band. You know, we started playing garage parties and keggers and stuff. And like within a month, we were playing at the Mirage. It was like, what is happening? We didn't even know. It was just snowballed.
Hmm. 3-piece, 4-piece?
3-piece.
3-piece?
Yeah,
Wow.
just the three of us. And the bass player was one of the guys that I met in junior high. Was asking me if I'd learned how to play guitar.
Really?
Yeah.
You still talk to him today?
Oh yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, he's got his whole thing going, family thing, and doesn't play very much.
Okay, so you got out of music, huh?
Pretty much. You know.
Too many people vomiting in each other's mouths. They couldn't handle it anymore.
Oh my gosh, you know, have you ever heard anything about that? Have you ever
I've
heard?
never heard of a pelican before.
Oh,
This is you
Only
heard
in-
it here first.
do
On
you
the Minnesota
remember?
Music Note.
Do you remember the sheep herders on the WWE, like the old wrestling guys?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. You're probably too young to remember that, but they had buzz cut hairdos, and they're from New Zealand, and they would do this march around. That's the way these guys were. It was the craziest thing I ever seen. You know, so you can edit that out if you want to.
No, we're keeping that in, man. That was a great story. What's the coolest venue?
The coolest venue? Oh, probably like First Avenue and in the 7th Street entry, and you know, the Mirage, the big A rooms.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
Mirage doesn't exist anymore, does it?
no, they turned it into a bakery. It's over there on 26. But the Mirage had this big long ramp that you would walk up to the dressing room. And so everybody would be watching you when you would leave the bar area and walk up this ramp to the dressing room. And it was just like you were going down to the ring to fight or something, because you walk that ramp and you know that national acts have walked this ramp, you know, and I'm a big guy on that vibe on stage. I can feel that vibe. If somebody was there the night before, you know, and all the stage energy, you know, and walking up that ramp and seeing all your friends and like, yeah, you know, it was just the coolest, you know, and knowing that Motley Crue might have played there the week before, and, you know, all these nationals. It's just fun.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's a good thing, because I try to tell people that you really couldn't experience what it was like then in the late 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was playing at First Avenue, Prince was there, just walking around. You know, he came by the dressing room door and just kind of looked in at us and gives us the nod, you know, walks away. It's like, it was no big deal. He's just hanging out at the club, you know?
Nice.
It was different then. And, you know, you could play the circuit, was cool. They just don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And none of these places that you went to had in-house PA and lights.
None of them did?
No,
Okay.
none of these clubs did. You had to hire out, or you had to bring your own. And if you didn't have it, you didn't have it.
Hmm.
You know, you go see Dare Force. Oh my gosh, they got massive PA system. They got lights. You know, it's huge. You know, and then they go see your next band next week at the same club, and they got a couple little speakers up on the stage or something, and you're like, wow. But it was kind of cool because it wasn't all the same level playing field.
Hmm.
You get all these bands that play like this club that has massive lights and sound. It's not that, you know, it's anything different.
Hmm.
You know, all the bands are the same.
Hmm.
You know,
You mean that's kind of how it is now? Like going to
Right.
these places at a
Right.
full backline or
right?
whatever.
And then you go see a band back then and be like, whoa, these guys got the stuff and they're good and this and that. You know, it's a level. You know, and I remember going to different music type stores and sampling different sound systems for the band. You know, they had different sound systems all laid out in the warehouse. Oh, listen to this one. Oh, listen to this one. You know, it was a big deal buying the sound system for the band, buying a soundboard and everything.
Yeah.
They don't have to do that much anymore, except for something to practice with or something.
Yeah. Well, the soundboard used to weigh 600 pounds or whatever, you know.
That too.
Four-man lift to
that's
bring
a
the
whole
soundboard
other
in.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Speakers used to be,
Mm-hmm.
you need wheels just to bring it in.
Well, the heavier the better. I mean, of course, they're going to be good if they're heavy.
Yeah.
You know, they have to be.
Now you can lift two up,
Right.
One in each arm,
Right.
and they sound freaking amazing.
Yep. Yep. I have this little Bose speaker about this big.
Mhm.
You know, it sounds incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Is that one of those pole things?
no, it's just a little
just a speaker
standalone speaker.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
You put it in the room somewhere, and especially if you sit it on like some wood or something, and it resonates, and the thing just fills up the whole room. How does that do that? You
Right.
know?
Come a long way.
Oh my gosh, my back's breaking. A lot of sound jobs. Yeah. So
Well, this has been a lot of fun. And I think I want to wrap it up. And I always wrap it up with the same questions. And I know you told me you had some ideas, and I already told you some of those people are on. But who do you think should be the next guest or the next couple of guests to be on here?
well, there's a good friend of mine from the Ziggy's All-Stars, Randall Lewis. He's a kind of an up-and-coming guitarist. He's been totally impressing me. Just met him at the jam, and he was really not playing in any bands, and now he's already playing in a couple different groups, and he's just kicking butt, and he'd be a good guest to have. He's got a nice story to tell. So
Yeah, I like Randall. Nice guy.
he's a super guy, so he'd be one guy to check out. So
Okay.
Mhm.
And I think Randall's a little bit like a Swiss Army knife. You can just tell him any type of sound or any sort of thing, and he comes up with it and comes in prepared. So
Mhm.
I always love that.
I was lucky enough to play with him at his very first Ziggy's jam, and so I remember looking at the list and saying, "Who's this guy?" And then I was, "Oh, it's got to be this guy over here." And so I went over and introduced myself to him. And, "Are you Randall?" "Oh, sure." And we just hit it off right away and
Nice.
had a great jam that night, and it was really fun. So
Cool.
yeah,
Well, I think he's going to be on perhaps as part of the Feral Parents. who
Oh,
are
sure.
Also,
That's one of his
a band
bands.
we've shared stage with a couple
yeah.
times.
I think he plays in Shredding Flannel as well.
Shredding Flannel.
Yep.
We've seen him on stage with those guys once or
Yep.
twice. So that's a fun band too. They're just a mishmash of
Oh my
all kinds
gosh.
of talented musicians. So
There is a lot of them now. There's a ton of great bands out there,
yeah.
and they all need your support. You know, so that's why I'm glad you're doing this, because it's a huge promo for them.
Well, as a guy who's kind of been in the industry for a minute or two, right? Played a couple bands. I guess one bonus question, if you will, like, how do you see things have changed, and what do you think the status of the industry is now? A lot of these old clubs you talk about have closed, and
Yeah.
there's no circuit anymore.
As far as what?
and-
As far as playing the circuit, or
No, I guess,
as far as music industry in this town?
I guess music industry in this town, and just what do you think the state of it is, and what do you think the opportunities are that are out there these days?
Well, that's hard because so much stuff has changed, and studios are closing all the time, and clubs are closing all the time. And so, I don't know. It's hard. I guess just as much as support that other bands can help each other would help. But as far as it's changed, I think that it's changed so much that it's kind of a self thing now. It's not so much a industry. It's more of I can put out my own record. I can put out my own recording.
Mhm.
I can make my own YouTube video,
Mhm.
put it on YouTube, I don't need a record company. I don't need to wait for an agent. I don't need to wait for this or anything like that, how it used to be, or where you used to get discovered, you know? So I think that way with, as far as technology-wise, everybody's got a recording studio on their phone,
Right.
you know? And it kind of hurts the industry a little bit because before they couldn't afford to buy a reel of tape, or they couldn't afford to buy that machine that would play this kind of thing.
Sure.
Now you don't even need those supplies or anything.
Yeah.
So I guess the way it has changed has been more self-reliant than industry reliant. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Self-produced. There's a lot of
of
going
it.
on. Yeah.
I do it myself.
Yep.
You know?
I mean, we've got an in-ear rig, which is basically just a mixer. We're running in. We can record all the stems in there, and go into my own DAW on my computer at home. Which I'm not a sound pro, but I'm a drummer who likes to poke buttons and press things. So
I read articles about this bass player recorded the whole album in hotels on the road. You know, he's doing it direct in Pro Tools, and it's the end result is the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, cool, man. This has been a lot of fun.
I appreciate your time. I really appreciate this as well. So
yeah, well, I like what you said about just the fact that this is happening, because it is one of the goals that I have for this, is just to help all of us connect more, get to know each other's stories. And my wife and I, we tag the crap out of everybody on all the posts we do there, because we're trying to, it's not, obviously we're benefiting by sharing everybody else. We're getting their eyeballs on us, but we're also in reverse getting everybody's eyeballs on everybody who's participating and saying, hey, yes, is the more that we do that. I love buying local band T-shirts and then wearing them out to somebody else, some other band's show. You know what I mean? And then my wife and I'll take a selfie with the band that we're watching, the band we've got on our T-shirt. It's really good, because that's what, if we're not out here watching each other's shows, I mean, we all love music, right? It's especially when you're playing original music, it's hard to get a crowd to come out sometimes.
I can't believe what Facebook has turned into for PR for musicians. And you can reach out to national artists and actually get a response most of the time. It's just crazy, and how much that has helped. Like my wife and I were talking the other day, you still get the impulse to go out and want to flyer windshields at the club for your gig coming up.
I remember those days.
Oh yeah, because you're like, oh, so-and-so's playing down at the club tonight, so we got to go down there and put flyers on all the windshields before.
You flyer windshields today, you're going to be in jail
push
in
button
20 minutes.
What are you doing around here? Well, I got these flyers. Well, come with me.
Wasn't me. But your name and picture and phone numbers on all of them.
In a way, a lot of people told me they missed the old mailing list. They missed getting that flyer in the mail, because they would put it up on their refrigerator. Then having just this Facebook notification that they forget about, or they scroll past. So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it used to be city pages also, right? And that's kind of disappears. I've heard a couple of different people, getting connected with more and more people in different groups. They're talking about, oh, it'd be cool if there was like this website with all these things. Oh yeah, you mean like city pages? Yeah.
Yep.
But it doesn't really exist anymore, but it would be great if it did. So
waiting for the city pages to come out to see your band in there and see your band picture in there was just a highlight. I didn't care if you got paid or not. That was, there's my band right there.
There you go.
At Ryan's Corner or Pain Reliever or someplace like that, and it was just
nice.
It was fun. Those days, I wish that a lot of people could have experienced that then.
Even for audience, even people that want to go watch bands, it's hard
music
to figure out,
7 nights
what's
a week,
playing where, and
7 nights a week. Some places, you get booked.
Yeah, used to be. You mean?
Yeah.
Hey there, Minnesota music family. If I haven't personally reached out to you yet, consider this your 100% official invitation to join me on the Minnesota Music Note. I'm Will McLeod, co-founder of the podcast crew here in beautiful Robbinsdale, host of the show, and the guy behind the kit for the band Hits and the Misses. I started this podcast because I want to get to know the people who make our scene tick. Whether you're fronting a band, spinning hip-hop, running sound, booking shows, running shows, or teaching the next generation of talent, your story belongs here. We've had everyone from videographers to festival organizers on the mic, and we're just getting started. It doesn't matter if you're playing arenas or just making magic in your basement. If you're part of the Minnesota music community, I want to chat. Slide into my DMs or hit the email below and let's hang out and talk shop.